Folks, we're so very happy to have MP Asot Michael on the line with us. And he has much on his mind. And he's going to be sharing with us right here on Voice of the People. MP Asot Michael, a representative for St. Peter. Welcome to Voice of the People, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Quinn, and thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your wide audience on Observer Radio, on the radio, and also on the World Wide Web.
All right, thank you
Pleasure
so much.
to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you. How are you doing? In fact, in my last conversation with you, you didn't sound too well.
Well, I have to be honest, I'm human. I mean, I'm extremely, hurt and very disappointed, for the letter that I received from the General Secretary of the Labour Party.
Mm-hmm.
Very hurt, that a comrade with such a high office would place a signature to such a letter.
Yes. Now, you are the current representative for St. Peter. Will you be running again as an independent? Because it appears as though you are at loggerheads with the party establishment.
Well, Mr. Quinn, to answer your question, let me just first say, that there's no secret that Comrade Leader, the political leader, and myself have had disagreements. But disagreements are also healthy for the institution. And, I just want to make it elusively clear to all your listeners that I love politics. I love the people of St. Peter. They've been extremely loyal and good to me over the years. I love my political family of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. And to be honest, I just can't contemplate not being a member of that family. I've always had a family life growing up, so I know the meaning of family. Mm-hmm. And of comradeship, and true comradeship, in the real meaning of that word. Mm-hmm. In an institution that I grew up since a young child.
Tell us a little bit about that history.
Let me just finish. Let us not even talk about leaving family, okay? What I want to concentrate on doing, sir, is fixing what is broken.
Yeah. And do you think that by coming on Observer, that will be helpful to that process?
Well, you invited me to do an interview with you.
Yes.
I did an interview last evening with Mr. Sean Bird on ZDK. I know I would be criticized for doing an interview with you, but Comrade Maxus comes on your on programs in the morning. I don't see any injury, for me doing an interview on Observer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want the history of your family with the ALP, the ABLP, and the ATLU to be broken?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, my family goes back to the late Surveyor Cornwall Bird, our national hero. And, my grandfather, the late Asot Michael, and then my late father, Patrick Michael. It's a very rich, long-standing history between the Michael family and the Antigua Labour Party and the Antigua Trades and Labour Union. Of course, I would not want that history to be broken or shaken at any time. Mm-hmm. And I will do nothing to injure my party. Absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the start? What was the genesis of the rift between you and the party leadership?
Well, it's no secret that that I questioned the behavior of our political leader and the Prime Minister, and because I questioned I raised questions as to his wealth, which all knows that has only become known since he became Prime Minister. He has really taken a public and nasty discourse towards me, even on his Facebook page last evening. Very, very nasty, defamatory, a lot of innuendos and lies, and it's the rift is between himself, because I don't have any beef with him. I have a right to question legitimate concerns that I may have as an elected member of the House of Representatives. I represent constituents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Michael, Franz de Freitas here, and I just want to say the Prime Minister said under no conditions and situations that you're going to run on a BLP ticket. Now, based on the letter that you put out in the media, challenging even the premise that they can just remove you, notwithstanding that you are the elected member. How are you going to move past that particular situation there where the leader of the ABLP possibly has the right to remove you off of the slate of candidates, how are you going to reconcile staying as a member of that family and continuing your political career?
Well, let me just say this, it's not a Gaston Brown party. And as I said in my letter, he's not a king. We are all equal, though he may currently be first among us as prime minister and political leader. But we forget that position is fluid. Okay? And this party belongs to the people of this country. Comrade Gaston Brown met me in this party. He embraced me as his brother, and his dear brother and closest ally when seeking to attain the leadership against the late Sir Lester Bird. But now, as I said, because I've raised certain questions as to his behavior, just recently in Parliament, because I said to him, last week to be more statesmanlike in terms of the mandatory vaccines. You got to win people's souls and minds and speak to them in a nice, decent, mature way as the Prime Minister. Not to be cursing, Megatron in Parliament and cursing Peter Williams and, cursing all and sundry on his Facebook page. And, it's not Prime Ministerial. You don't do that. B.C. Bird never did that. Lester Bird never did that. Baldwin Spencer, for that matter, never conducted himself in that way.
And do you feel betrayed having funded and financed and put yourself out, and that's no secret, and supported the Prime Minister? Do you feel a sense of betrayal now?
Of course I do. Of course I do, Mr. Quinn. I'm human, as I said. Of course, it's a deep betrayal. I never expected the Prime Minister and Comrade Gaston Brown to be so nasty. Never. He is trying to have me charged by the British after 4 years that I was interviewed in England. And I did so because I honestly proceeding against the leader, the tribunal chairman. And I did so because I honestly considered that they acted unlawfully towards me as a member of the party.
Right. And it is your constitutional right, if you feel aggrieved, to seek the court's opinion on these things, is it not?
Of course it is, Mr. De Freitas. It's my constitutional right and that of every single member of the party or citizen or resident of this country to seek redress from the courts against when wrongs are done by any person, including the common leader.
Yeah.
None of us are above the law.
Absolutely.
The law applies. We are a nation of laws, and it applies to each and every one. And right now, they're practically in contempt of that injunction that I have against the Labour Party and against the General Secretary and the political leader and the tribunal chairman. And they're persisting to be punitive against me by saying that they're expelling me out of the 46 North Street Central Executive meetings. I have a right to be at those Central Executive meetings. I represent constituents. I'm the duly elected Member of Parliament for St. Peter's. And there's a constitution. There's a constitution of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, which it speaks to membership of the party and the executive and the role of the executive and so forth.
Yeah, and let me ask you another question here, just so that those who are listening get a sense. Oftentimes it would seem like Gaston Brown and the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda and the political leader of the ABLP can, by edict, mandate things in the party. Doesn't the rest of the members of that party, the other elected officials that are part of that party, have a say relative to your being a member or part of that party?
Of course they do. There's officers of the party. Of course, he's the political leader. There's a chairman of the party, the Honorable E.P. Chet Green. I've not heard anything from the chairman on this matter. There's a general secretary, Madam Mary Claire Hurst. And as I said to her in the letter, with no disrespect to her, but she must not be a minion determined to carry out evil desires that the political leader may have. She is the general secretary of the party, of which we are all members.
Which brings...
But yes, he has been acting like a dictator, and, just by one person saying, he doesn't want me to run on his ticket. It's not his ticket.
Which
the
brings...
Labour Party doesn't belong to him. It doesn't belong to me.
Right.
Which beggars...
It doesn't belong to Lester Bird or to V.C. Bird.
Which beggars the question, are you seeing any sort of support among the rank and file for your position as opposed to the position of the elites there in the party? Are you seeing support Are you feeling that groundswell of support for
I have
yourself?
a lot of support in the Labour Party among the comrades, among the ordinary comrades. Okay, and I will even go further to say I have support from my former colleagues. However, my former colleagues at times afraid to stand up and tell the Prime Minister where he's wrong or where he's right. So, they have been given a dose of hush.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yes.
very silent. But I have a lot of support in the Labour Party among the rank and file, the ordinary members. My phones has been ringing off, the WhatsApp messages, and I want to thank them for all their prayers and their support.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have support in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Gaston Brown is afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Gaston Brown probably thinks in his warped way of thinking that I want his job. I don't want his job. I don't. I mean, I supported him to become the leader at that time because I thought it was the right thing at that time. But the positions of leadership is open to every single member of the party.
Mr.
And I
Michael,
support Gaston Brown. Yes, sir.
if you just hold your thought, we're going to take a
Take a
quick
very,
break,
very
but we're
quick
going to
break.
come back with the last 10 minutes of the program and give that to you.
Welcome back to Voice of the People on Observer Radio 91.1 FM. Paul, Franz, and MP Assot Michael, the representative for St. Peter. We're all in the house. It's 1:52. Mr. Michael, you were finish your thought.
I just want to go back to the question of betrayal that you asked me earlier.
Yes.
And I want to just reiterate the point that everyone knows that I once supported Gaston Brown, who came from outside to join the party. He eventually challenged my mentor and dear surrogate father for leadership, Lester Bird. I supported him because I honestly believed in Mr. Quinn at that time and Mr. De Freitas that his leadership was right for the country and the party at that time. I put a lot of resources, not just financial resources, but my political capital into Gaston Brown to win the convention against Sir Lester Bird. The first convention that he challenged Sir Lester, he lost. I was the only one, along with Comrade Max Fernandez, who supported him in that first convention. In the second convention, persons like Comrade Chet Green and Comrade Edward Benjamin and others came on board, and Comrade Yearwood. But, if in my view that circumstances are such that the country and the party's interests are best served by a new leader, I would support that person.
What are your
Not about
thoughts
who it
now?
is.
What are
It
your
can only
thoughts
be
now
said
on
about what
that?
is best for the nation and the party.
And what are your thoughts now on that? Because you've said to him that he ought to be more statesmanlike and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts now on his leadership?
Well, I don't want to say anything that's going to, they're going to say they have reason to bring me before a tribunal about the leadership of the party. What I would say is that the constitution of the party says that there must be a convention every 2 years. There's been no convention. And, as I said, all of the offices in the party are always open up to be challenged. I'm not saying I have intention to challenge him, but I'm saying if there's a better person, I would support that person, whatever is in the best interest of the party and the country.
And for the record, our time is about to expire here. For the record, you intend to pursue the legal actions that you have brought to their conclusion in a view of being appropriately reinstated to the position that you believe that you're entitled to.
Oh, most definitely. And I just want to say that litigation matters can never injure the party.
Right.
It is the unlawful action the party heads that is injurious to the party. It is the litigation that holds them accountable and forces them to adhere to democratic principles and principles of natural justice. Each person has the obligation, sir, to hold his neighbor accountable. And I have the obligation to ensure that my party adheres to the Constitution and to the well-established principles. After all, we live in a civilized and democratic society. We don't live in China or in Russia under dictatorship. We are a democratic party. We have a philosophy in the Constitution. So I will continue to seek legal and political counsel this week from, my esteemed lawyers, my constituents, and stalwarts of the party, senior members. And then I'll make a decision. I'm in no hurry, to make a decision. I don't want to add gasoline to this fire. I want to add water to it.
Okay,
I
very
cannot
good.
invite the leader to be statesman-like and myself not statesman-like. But I will use the courts if I have to to continue to protect my constitutional rights. There's nothing wrong with that. What is so injurious to that?
Very good. And we certainly trust that you'll continue to improve in your health. You'll feel better. And, of course, stay in the fight if that's what your heart tells you to do, my brother.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate your time, sir. And it was a privilege to be on with you this afternoon. And I just want to end by saying, I'm a God-fearing man. God is on my side. I have a lot of faith in him. And whatever God's will is, I will do.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much again, sir. Have a pleasant evening. There you have it,
Good afternoon to you. Thank you again.